Welcome to the moment where shadows reveal the truth, hidden behind every mask, where illusions fall and the core of power is laid bare. This isn't a tale of fairy tales or empty promises. This is the story of reality, unvarnished, unforgiving, and relentless. You stand at the precipice of a revelation so profound that it shatters the illusions others built around themselves. You've done what few dare to do. You unlocked their fatal flaw, the one secret wound they buried beneath layers of bravado and pride. And when that flaw was exposed, when it was stripped bare, you witnessed something far more terrifying than any battle or argument. You saw them naked, vulnerable, powerless. This is the essence of true strength, not in the shine of victory, but in the cold, quiet power of truth laid bare. You walked through their fortress of arrogance, their carefully constructed defenses, their so-called biggest flex, and with unwavering precision, you turned it into their undoing. What they believed was their greatest asset, their untouchable crown, became the very reason for their downfall. You turned their biggest flex into a funeral, a monument to their own hubris and blind pride. The world might call it ruthless, but in truth, it's nothing more than justice served cold. The natural order restoring balance where imbalance reigned. You revealed the cracks in their armor, the shadows lurking beneath their brightest lights, and you didn't flinch. You didn't hesitate. You owned the moment because you understood that true power lies not in hiding from the dark, but in wielding it. There's a certain satisfaction in seeing the mighty stumble, not because you wish harm upon them, but because their fall is a lesson carved into the bedrock of life itself. It's a reminder that no matter how high someone climbs, no matter how loudly they boast, or how fiercely they defend their image, everyone carries within them a vulnerability, a fatal flaw that once revealed strips them of pretense and forces them to confront reality. And you became the key, the force that unveiled the hidden truth. But understand this, it's not about gloating or cruelty. It's about clarity, about the cold illumination that forces growth and transformation. Because only in the wreckage of shattered illusions can genuine strength rise from the ashes. The journey to this moment wasn't easy. It required patience, keen observation, and a resolve that few possess. You had to see beyond the surface, look past the noise and distractions, and perceive the subtle weaknesses others overlooked or ignored. You learned that power is not merely a show of force, but the wisdom to recognize what's fragile beneath the surface. When you unlocked their fatal flaw, you didn't just dismantle their defenses, you dismantled the very foundation on which they built their identity. And in doing so, you forced them to confront their truth, a truth that no mask or facade can hide forever. Remember this, the greatest strength comes from embracing your own vulnerabilities, from acknowledging your flaws and using them as fuel rather than shackles. When you witness someone stripped of their armor, it's not a moment of triumph over another's weakness, but a mirror reflecting the battle within us all. We all carry fatal flaws, hidden wounds and insecurities that shape our paths and define our struggles. The difference lies in what we do when those flaws are revealed. Do we crumble? Or do we rise stronger, forged by the fire of self-awareness and resilience? You've proven that exposure of weakness is not the end, but a beginning. By unlocking what others feared to confront, you stepped into a realm few dare to enter, the realm of raw, unfiltered truth. And in that space there is immense power. Power not only to break down others' illusions, but to break free from your own limitations. You turn their biggest flex into a funeral, yes, but in that funeral lies the seed of rebirth. It's a stark reminder that pride unchecked is a prison, and that liberation comes from shedding the masks we cling to. Let this be a call to anyone who feels trapped behind the walls of pretense and facade, to those who struggle under the weight of their own insecurities disguised as strengths. Embrace the light that reveals your flaws, no matter how painful. Because true freedom is born when you face your own darkness and claim it as part of your power. And for those who stand on the other side, wielding the truth as a weapon, wield it with purpose, with clarity, and with respect for the journey it represents. This is not about destruction for its own sake, but about creating space for authenticity, growth, and transformation. In every encounter, in every challenge, there lies an opportunity to unlock not just the fatal flaws of others, but the hidden strengths within ourselves. You who watch as others are stripped bare, take this moment to reflect on your own armor. What masks do you wear? What secrets do you hide? Because the very act of uncovering weakness in others is an invitation to uncover strength within. The naked truth is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also liberating. It is the foundation upon which greatness is built. So stand tall in the aftermath of their unraveling. Let their fall be a testament not to your cruelty, but to your courage. Courage to face the truth, to dismantle illusions, and to rise above the shadows cast by false pride. Remember, the most formidable power is the power to see clearly, to recognize the fatal flaw, and to choose how you respond. You have the strength to unlock the hidden cracks and to stand unshaken when the facade crumbles. That is the mark of true mastery. In this world, the strongest are not those who never falter, but those who confront their flaws and transform them into fuel for relentless growth. You have seen this truth in others. Now, let it ignite a fire within you, because the greatest flex is not in hiding weakness, but in owning it fully and turning it into unstoppable strength. The funeral you witnessed was not the end, but a beginning, a dark, powerful beginning where truth reigns and authenticity rules. Take this moment, hold it close, and let it guide you through every challenge ahead. For you have unlocked the fatal flaw, yes, but more importantly, you have unlocked a deeper understanding of power itself. A power born not of illusion or pretense, but of raw, unyielding truth. And with that truth, you are unstoppable. The cold reality you force them to face is one that most try desperately to avoid. Because to be stripped naked, to have your fatal flaw exposed, is to stand vulnerable in a world that rewards strength and hides weakness. It is a moment of brutal honesty, a tearing away of every lie they told themselves and everyone else. And in that moment, you become more than a witness. You become the catalyst for a transformation that few survive, but all must reckon with. You have challenged their narrative, dismantled their fortress of self-deception, and in doing so, you shattered their illusion of invincibility. There's a dark beauty in this act because it reveals the raw mechanics of human nature. Pride, arrogance, and self-deception are powerful shields, but beneath them lies a fragile core. This core, once cracked, doesn't just expose vulnerability, it lays bare the very essence of what makes a person human. It forces them to confront their limitations, their fears, and the lies they have told to keep those fears at bay. You unlocked that door and watched as everything they built around themselves crumbled into dust. It's not just a moment of power, it's a moment of reckoning, a profound unveiling of the truth no one else dared reveal. And yet, the power you hold is double-edged, because to unlock someone's fatal flaw, is also to face the weight of responsibility. What you do with that knowledge defines who you are. Will you use it to destroy, to shame, or to diminish? Or will you use it to illuminate, to challenge, and to elevate? True strength lies not in tearing others down, but in using their brokenness to build something stronger, a harsher, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. You've watched their downfall, but now it's time to watch your rise. For every empire that falls, another is built, and that empire is you. The deadliest trap is to revel too long in the destruction you caused. There is no victory in bitterness or cruelty. The real triumph is in rising above it, in using the clarity you gain to cut through your own illusions and face your own flaws. Because make no mistake, every person has a fatal flaw, every king has a weakness, every fortress has a crack. You are no exception. The difference is that you chose to see, to understand, and to master that truth rather than hide from it. That is the essence of growth, and it is the essence of true power. You have been given a rare gift, the ability to see through the masks, to perceive what others miss, and to wield that perception like a blade. But what separates the conqueror from the tyrant is wisdom. The wisdom to know when to strike and when to hold back, when to reveal and when to conceal. Use this power not to destroy recklessly, but to sculpt yourself into something indomitable. Let their fall be the soil in which your strength takes root and grows beyond what you ever imagined possible. Remember, the world is a stage of constant performance, where most play roles dictated by fear and insecurity. You have shattered the script for others. Now rewrite your own. Don't let their fatal flaw become your prison. Instead, let it become your lesson. Because to see another's flaw clearly is to see the map to your own salvation. It's the mirror reflecting the cracks in your own armor, the prompt to refine, sharpen, and evolve. Every moment of vulnerability you witness is an invitation to own your humanity fully, to walk boldly through the darkness knowing that true light is born there. Your path is not easy. It demands grit, honesty, and relentless self-examination. It demands that you face the uncomfortable truths about yourself, that others hide behind grand facades. But that path is also the one that leads to greatness. For those who choose comfort over truth are doomed to be shadows in someone else's story. You have chosen the opposite. You have chosen to wield the power of truth, even when it burns, even when it cuts deep. And that choice sets you apart. So stand firm as you watch their facade fall apart, as you witness their greatest pride turn to ashes. In that moment, you are the storm and the calm, the destroyer and the creator. You are the force that reminds the world that no matter how brightly someone shines, their shadows are always waiting. And more importantly, you are the one who refuses to be blinded by false light. You see clearly, and in that clarity lies your invincibility. Let their downfall be your fuel, but never your end. For every funeral you witness is a warning and a promise. Pride that blinds will always lead to ruin, but humility and truth forge unbreakable strength. Carry that truth with you. Walk forward in the darkness you've illuminated and become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Because the world doesn't just need another victor. It needs a master of truth, a bearer of clarity, and a warrior of authenticity. The moment you unlocked their fatal flaw was not just a moment of power. It was the birth of a new era for you. An era where you stand unshaken, unmasked, and unbreakable. Where the shadows don't scare you but empower you. Where the truth is not a weapon but a shield. You turn their biggest flex into a funeral, yes, But in that funeral lies the ignition of your own legacy, forged in the flames of truth and resilience. Hold that moment. Own that power. Because you are not just a witness to the fall, you are the architect of your rise. And in the quiet aftermath, when the dust settles and the world looks anew, you will be standing, unshaken, victorious, naked in your truth, and unstoppable in your strength. There's a silence after the storm. A hush falls over the battlefield, not because the fight is over, but because the truth is too heavy to carry in noise. When you unlock their fatal flaw and watch it strip them naked, it's as if the world itself pauses to absorb the gravity of what's been revealed. That silence is not emptiness. It's the space where reckoning takes root. It's the moment where the illusion dissolves, where the great facade crumbles and only the raw, unfiltered reality remains. And in that silence, you stand not as a predator, but as a guardian of truth, a witness to the dismantling of lies. Their fatal flaw was always there, hidden in plain sight, a seed buried beneath years of pride, arrogance, and bravado. You simply unearthed it, pulled it from the depths where they hoped no one would see, and laid it bare for all to witness. And once that flaw was exposed, the mighty fell like kings dethroned, like titans brought low. You didn't create the flaw, you revealed it. You held up the mirror they refused to see. That is the true nature of power, to illuminate what others fear, to expose what others hide, and to face the darkness without blinking. But here's what they don't tell you. Watching someone fall isn't the end of the story. It's merely a chapter. The fatal flaw that you unlocked is a doorway, a painful, humiliating, but necessary doorway that leads to either destruction or rebirth. For those who succumb to their weakness, it is a funeral, a final goodbye to their pride and identity. For those who dare to confront their brokenness, it is a rebirth, a chance to build something stronger on the ruins of their old self. And you who unlock that door, you hold the power to influence which path they take. Your role is not just as the bearer of truth, but as the force that challenges them to rise or lets them fall. Understand this deeply. Every person you encounter, no matter how strong, has a fatal flaw waiting to be uncovered. It is the shadow behind their light, the whisper behind their roar. Some bury it beneath layers of false confidence. Others drown it in denial, but it is always there, waiting for the moment of exposure. And when that moment comes, it strips away the mask and leaves the soul vulnerable, naked, and trembling. But in vulnerability lies the seed of true strength. The flaw is not a curse. It is a challenge, an invitation to transcend weakness and become something greater. Your power lies in your clarity, in your refusal to be blinded by pretense or false light. You see the flaw, not to exploit it for petty gain, but to understand the truth beneath the surface. Because true mastery is not about control over others. It's about control over yourself. It's about knowing that the same flaw that brought another to their knees could be lurking in your own heart. This is the paradox of power. The more you understand the weaknesses of others, the more you must confront your own. The more you watch others fall, the more you must build the resilience to rise when your own time comes. You turn their biggest flex into a funeral, a devastating transformation that marks the end of their reign and the beginning of your ascendancy. But don't mistake this moment for simple victory. It is far more complex. It is a profound reminder that pride, unchecked and blind, is a slow poison. That confidence, without humility, becomes arrogance, and that no empire built on lies and falsehoods can stand forever. You have torn down a kingdom. Yes, but in that ruin, you must find the lessons that build your own empire, brick by brick, flaw by flaw, truth by truth. The rawness of seeing someone stripped of their false strength is a mirror reflecting the rawness of your own existence. In that moment, the question isn't just what you did to them, but what you will do with yourself. Will you allow your own flaws to be weaponized against you? Will you hide behind a facade, or will you stand naked in your truth? The greatest flex is not the armor you wear to hide your vulnerabilities, but the courage to stand exposed and unshaken in the face of the storm. To witness the downfall of others is to learn the art of resilience. You have seen what happens when pride blinds, when denial suffocates, when truth is feared. Let their funeral be a warning and a guide. Build your foundation on self-awareness, humility, and relentless honesty. For only then can you walk unshaken through the darkest nights, knowing that your power is not in your invincibility, but in your ability to rise again and again. The world will always try to convince you that vulnerability is weakness, that exposure is defeat. But you know better now. You know that the fatal flaw, once uncovered, is a gift, a harsh, painful gift that forces the shedding of lies and the birth of authenticity. You unlocked that door for others, and in doing so, you opened a path for yourself, a path where true power is born, not from illusion or false pride, but from the naked, unbreakable truth of who you are. So as you stand amid the ruins of their greatest flex-turned funeral, take a moment to reflect. You have witnessed the fragility of human strength, the inevitability of downfall when truth is ignored. But more than that, you have glimpsed the limitless potential that comes from facing your own fatal flaws and using them as fuel for transformation. The darkness you have walked through is not the end. It is the forge where your character is tempered, where your power is refined. You unlocked their fatal flaw, and with that unlocking came power, clarity, and the burden of truth. Wear it like armor, not as a weapon. Carry it like a torch, not as a sword. Because in the end, the greatest strength lies not in tearing others down, but in lifting yourself up from the ashes of all that was false and broken. You have learned a brutal truth, that beneath every grand gesture, beneath every boast and every act of defiance, lies a vulnerability, a flaw so profound that it can unravel even the most tightly woven armor. You didn't break them with brute force. You broke them with vision, with insight, with the patient unraveling of a secret thread no one else dared pull. This is a rare kind of power, the power of perception, the power to see what others cannot or will not see. And with that power comes a choice, to be a destroyer or to be a guide, to wield your knowledge for petty triumphs, or to elevate yourself and others by facing the darkness head on. Because the fatal flaw you unlocked isn't just theirs, it is a shadow that lives in us all, a silent whisper of fear and doubt that threatens to undo us when left unchecked. The moment you exposed it in another, you were forced to look inward, to confront the cracks in your own foundation. And that is where true strength is born, not in the downfall of others, but in the relentless pursuit of truth within ourselves. To stand naked before your own flaws is the ultimate act of courage, the one that separates the masters from the victims. Their fall was a spectacle, yes, but don't be fooled into thinking it's the end of their story, or yours. Life is not a simple tale of winners and losers. It is a continuous cycle of destruction and creation, death and rebirth. When their greatest strength became their funeral pyre, it was a signal that the old must die to make way for the new, that nothing built on false pride can survive the relentless light of truth. And you, standing in the aftermath, are the living proof of this cycle. You are the one who dared to look deeper, who dared to face the uncomfortable truth, and who now carries the weight and the opportunity that comes with that knowledge. Never underestimate the power of exposure. To unlock a fatal flaw is to remove the veil, to take away the crutches that propped up a fragile empire of ego. But that exposure also strips you bare. It removes the illusions of control and forces you to face your own humanity. It demands honesty with yourself that few are willing to muster. This is the ultimate paradox of power. The very act of breaking another's facade is an act that can shatter your own, if you are not vigilant. So wield this power with respect, for it is as much a test of your character as it is a weapon against others. In this moment, as you watch the funeral of their pride, consider the funeral of your own illusions. Let their downfall be a mirror that reflects what you must shed within yourself. What masks do you wear? What lies do you tell yourself to avoid facing your own fatal flaw? Because true power isn't about hiding weakness. It's about embracing it fully and transforming it into a source of strength. The world does not respect perfection. It respects authenticity. It respects those who can stand naked, unashamed, and unbroken in the face of their own darkness. You turned their biggest flex into a funeral, yes. You stripped away the veneer of invincibility and revealed the fragile core beneath. And in doing so, you showed the world what real power looks like. Not the false bravado of superficial strength, but the quiet, unyielding force of truth. This moment is yours, but it is also a call to action. A call to look inward and to forge your own path with the same ruthless honesty you used to dismantle theirs. Remember, the fatal flaw you exposed is not just a weapon against others. It is a lens through which you must examine yourself every day. Because the moment you stop looking inward, the moment you believe you are invincible, that is when your own downfall begins. You have seen what happens to those who build their identity on lies and illusions. Now, build yours on something stronger. Build it on truth, on self-awareness, and on the relentless pursuit of growth. Let the funeral of their biggest flex be a lesson etched into your soul. Pride that blinds leads to ruin. Denial that deafens leads to collapse. But humility that listens leads to strength beyond measure. The world is full of those who refuse to face their flaws, who cling desperately to false images of strength. You are not one of them. You are the storm that clears the sky, the force that reveals the hidden cracks, and the light that burns away the shadows. And in that fire, you are reborn, sharper, stronger, and more real than ever before. So take this moment, hold it close, and let it fuel your journey. You have unlocked a secret that few can face, and with that secret comes power, but also responsibility. Use it wisely. Use it to elevate, to challenge, and to transform. For the greatest power is not in tearing down others, but in tearing down your own walls and rising naked, unshaken, and unstoppable. The funeral you witnessed is not the end. It is the beginning of a new era, your era, an era where truth reigns supreme, where flaws are embraced and where real strength is born from the courage to stand exposed. You turn their biggest flex into a funeral. Now, turn your own flaws into your greatest strength. Stand tall in the ashes, for that is where true kings and queens are forged.